Hi there, Christian HEDge here speaking. Today I would like to talk a little bit about synthetic heads, about their benefits, about their advances and disadvantages, and because there are just too much myth and misunderstandings around there, I guess, especially in the bodhran world, because synthetic heads are absolutely normal in drum kit playing and marching equipment and stuff like that, but still in the bodhran world, it's a very controversial discussion, and many people are afraid to use synthetic head because it's not traditional or whatever. So I want to talk about two main things. The first thing is the main differences between animal skins and synthetic heads. And the second part is I want to talk about my two types of drum systems I do with synthetic heads. The one is the HEDge, and the other one is the either change head based system or any other custom-made drum with synthetic heads. So, two completely different drum systems I do, and I want to talk about the differences and why I have these two systems. So, let's start with the main differences between animal skins, natural drum skins, and synthetic heads. The main difference is that animal skins react to moisture. You see, it soaks in immediately. It takes the water and it gets soft. And that also happens with your hand sweat of the modulation hand and with the moisture in the air. So if I do the same with a synthetic head, nothing happens. Nothing at all. Just dripping off. So, synthetic heads do not react to water, do not react to humidity, but they react a little bit to temperature. So because of this difference, it means the synthetic heads are much more stable in tuning than any natural drum head could be. But there's nothing good, which is not also bad. The good thing about animal skins, natural skins, is that they always strive to tension equally. Yeah. If you put a completely wet natural skin on the drum and let it dry, it always has the natural tendency to stretch out equally. That also means it makes it a little bit easier for you in terms of tuning, because it's a natural thing of a natural drum skin that it likes to vibrate very good. You don't have this natural quality here with a synthetic head. This means the most important thing to synthetic heads is the tuning. You need to tune the drum much more accurate and much more precise than any animal skin drum. So this is also not just a challenge for the player, this is also a challenge for the maker, because I as a maker, I need to construct a drum with a synthetic head differently than one with an animal skin. And this brings me directly to my main two drum systems I do with synthetic heads. I get it away. So the two main drum systems with synthetic heads I do is the brand new HEDge bodhran And like here, it's a change head system based drum, which means you can change the head and the tuning rim. The head, the drum head, and the tuning rim. A change head drum always consists of 3 parts. The main frame with this black plastic mounting frame. Then we have the tuning rim, which is actually the tone ring and the sound influencing part of the drum. And of course the drum head. So the main difference of the HEDge is that the raw material, the basic of the head is a standard 14-inch synthetic drum kit head, which means you have this aluminium hoop around it, and that is a standard where you can get all around the world. You will always find a music shop providing this kind of drum heads because they are used all over the world for drum kits, for marching percussion like Bavarian Oktoberfest marching, or maybe samba percussion marching band, something like that. They all use this kind of synthetic drum heads. So the HEDge works with this standard synthetic head. Every other drum I make with synthetic heads, like this change head one, or any custom made one with synthetic head, I have just this foil. So this is the raw material, the basic material I use for the other drums. That means I will post form the head, this foil, exactly to the drum, exactly to the tuning rim. So you see there are 2 different approaches. At the HEDge you have a industrial standard drum head, which I try to make as bodhran-like as possible with the frame construction, with the tuning system, how the bearing edge is formed and all the stuff. And the other side is I have a usual bodhran and use a synthetic head and post form it to this normal bodhran, and so try to get a natural as possible and best sounding drum I can get with a synthetic head. You see, 2 different approaches, and you see there are really major differences. Like you have here a very, very shallow color, which is also a sound influencing part. While with the change head system here, for example, the color is much higher. So this also means this area is also influencing the overall sound quality and sound behavior. And I want to make that as clear as possible. Not every synthetic head drum is sounding equal, even if you have the same foil. So for example, here is the Remo skin tone on this standard aluminium hook-based system, and that is the same foil which I use for the post-forming of my custom-made drums or the change head based drums. So, but they also do not sound the same. And if you would have 10 different drums of 10 different makers or brands, all with the same drum head, they would sound differently, even if the skin is the same, just because of the drum construction and the tuning system and how much body sound transfer is for example. So for the HEDge, here there is an isolated tuning system used. That means the tuning rim, which is at the end nothing else but that piece in the drum, which is touching the drum skin, has no really contact with the outer frame. So this is working independently with the drum head. That means your body contact and the dampening of your body and your leg and your arm does not influence the sound of the drum skin. This is one really important part of the HEDge, which is really bringing the whole sound forward and is bringing the sound of a synthetic head to a higher level. I can guarantee you. This is proved by many good players who love the HEDge. We have the same isolated tuning system here available, either for the changehead or for custom-made drums, but there are still some differences. As you can see, usually I tape this drum completely all the way down, while I have here on the HEDge a bit of a whitish rim left. And if you look against the light, you will see that there is a little stripe which is not taped between the bearing edge and the tape here. So this drum is vibrating differently than this. And this is just one example why these two systems are different. Now you might ask which is better. This is something I cannot answer you. I see the need of offering both, because both systems have advances and disadvantages. If you like a more percussive drum, because you are used to world percussion and maybe you come from a drum kit drumming and stuff like that, and you need a really strong performance drum, this one would be your choice, because these heads are available all over the world and you can try out yourself modifying them, taping them or sanding them, whatever. By the way, I always recommend to sand them very fine inside, because they are very sticky. So if you sand them with a maybe 220, 240 or 320 grit sanding paper, this will give you a bit of air poster to enable, no, to able to make your skin hand move easier, because then it will not be so sticky anymore. So, and this one, if you're coming much more from a maybe more traditionally bodhran environment, I personally would say this one would be your choice, not just because of the sound behavior, but also because here you get a smaller diameter. Yeah, for example, this always comes in 14-inch for 14-inch heads, which means you have a 15.5-inch, nearly 16-inch drum outer diameter, and with the custom made and changehead, it's usually a bit smaller. So just from the physical nature, a changehead drum is a little bit smaller, and so gives a little bit more controlled overall behavior, because it does not swing as much and as long as the larger diameter. So this can be a really beast, a really wild piece, a really drum that needs to be controlled. But it's also a really good performance drum if you know what you're doing. If you're a bit experienced and you want a really performance drum which has also really good cut through qualities, and you know what you're doing, you will love the HEDge. You will love it. So the big advance of the changehead system here is that you can also use animal skins on the same system. So there are lambic skins, kangaroo skins, goat skins of different qualities and kinds. There is dragon skin, Velvet, Spicy and Classic available. There are twin heads, glued together heads available for that system. So that is the much more universal drum system where you can use both animal skins and synthetic heads. This one is only and exclusively constructed for synthetic heads. I know there are some animal skins available for this system as well, but I highly recommend to don't use them on this drum, because the whole drum is just not made for animal heads, because animal heads need a much higher hub in tuning. That is also one of the reasons this color is higher than this one. So the tuning hub is much less here, and that is one reason that the HEDge is not suitable for animal skins. You can really damage or destroy your drum with animal skins, because if an animal skin will stretch back a lot, it really can destroy the tuning system, and you don't want to have that. That's a very sensitive and reactive drum, but you need to have the right skin on it, and you need to have the right tuning on it. So if you decide this kind of system, which either change head or a custom made one, it's really important to have the right tuning rim. For the change head, I have 4 different tuning rims available. That is the Bass Monster tuning rim, name is Program, the Universal Comfort tuning rim, the special tuning rim for synthetic heads, and a compressor tuning rim. So this one for synthetic heads, because today we are speaking about synthetic heads, is special in that way that it has a much smaller round over than the one for animal heads. So you have a sharper bearing edge, and it's covered, as you can see here, with a cotton ribbon. This gives a little bit of buffer zone, so it makes it easier for you to tune it and to keep the tuning. And it also makes the drum swinging out nicer on the edge, so you get a bit of more warmer resonance, warmer sound, and nicer swinging out, vibrating out sound. So this tuning rim is absolutely completely constructed for synthetic heads. And if you want to get a synthetic head, either the skin tone or maybe a fiber skin 3, or a clear synthetic head for teaching purpose, whatever, I always recommend to get the tuning rim with the drum head, because if you buy both together from me, I will post form them together, so they will be married. The important thing is then that you always mount the tuning rim and the head in the same position. I have marked it here with a little cross, and here as well. So, and if you now always mount this in the same position to the mainframe, you always get the best repeating result every time you change the drum skin. So that is the most important stuff I have to say about synthetic heads. I personally really like them. I have now over 20 years of experience working with different kinds of synthetic heads, because I was always fascinated about the possibilities for a maker. I know there are plenty makers out there who doesn't like them at all, and they think they all sound the same and they're not individual, and so, but I think that is exactly the great thing about synthetic heads, because as a maker I can work with them much more precise and much more direction forwarded to the very destination I want to reach, because this drumhead which I work in the workshop will sound equally no matter where on the planet you are. So especially when you are traveling with your band or for holiday or whatever, this one will make you happy because it's reliable and it's always the same sound. It's easy to mic up, usually very easy to mic up because it gives a very clear and strong signal. And yeah, I would say for professional performance reasons, this one will make you happy. Yeah, that was my part so far on synthetic heads. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope you opened your view and maybe it makes it interesting for you to get a synthetic head on your next drum. And please remember, not every synthetic headed bodhran sound the same. It's all a question of how you work it, how you mount it, how the drum is constructed, which tuning system is used. And yeah, so maybe you are now interested in getting a synthetic headed drum for yourself for your next drum. I would be happy if you could talk about it, if you would like to order this from me, because I really like working with synthetic heads. I appreciate the special qualities of synthetic heads. As I said, I have now over 20 years of experience and try and error with different kinds of heads and with the post-forming and with different tuning rims and tuning systems. So I would be happy if you come back to me and order a drum. Thanks, all the best. If you have any questions, down at the comments or send me an email. Your Christian HEDge. Bye now.